I'm here at the Center for Specialized Veterinary Care in Long Island, and this is such a unique animal hospital. It's the only one in the country where you can actually sleep in the same room as your pet, so you never have to leave their side. Now, I'm here for a slightly different reason. This, drumroll please, is my baby. This is Drano, my fat cat. He was found in the sewers of Philadelphia about 12 years ago. He's been with me ever since. Today we're talking about obesity and if your cat or dog is overweight. Now, Drano happens to be one of 40% of cats out there who have a weight problem. That is 48 million fat cats and dogs in this country. So if he cooperates with me, come on, it's Take Your Cat to Work Day. Dr. Diane Levitan is going to examine him and tell me how to help prevent overweightness and obesity in our four-legged friends. Isn't that right? You ready? He's very upset. I know I called you fat. It's very sad.
You are one handsome boy.
Isn't he beautiful?
Drano, how much do you weigh?
How much do you weigh? You
Okay,
ready?
let's try it.
He's 8.5 kilograms.
Okay, so he's closer to 18 pounds.
Closer to 18. Uh-oh. So what is that? Where does that put
Jill,
him?
don't feel bad. You know, there are a lot of very overweight cats today.
Tell me why it's dangerous for a cat to be obese. I mean, or even overweight.
Yeah, obese is a tough word, right? Because we don't want to use that word very often. But overweight, we really shouldn't be afraid to say, because it is really potentially very dangerous for your cats to be overweight. You know, just like us, the body has to work a lot harder. It's much more difficult for their heart. They have a lot more work to do. It's hard. A lot of cats will become constipated. They can't take care of themselves. They can't groom. They can't reach themselves as well.
That's actually a problem with his little behind.
Yeah.
I have to do the duties of
you have to help clean him, and so that's a sure sign that you have a little bit of a problem.
Right.
He should be able to do that himself.
He should be able to reach his butt.
But there are other really dangerous things about overweight cats, and one of the most important things is when they lose weight quickly, they have a tendency to develop fatty liver syndrome, which can be deadly. You didn't
He
like
didn't like
that.
fatty liver. He's very upset about fatty liver. That's cool. We're not going to go there, Drain.
Another thing that's very important, again, besides the additional work on their heart, it's harder for them to breathe sometimes. They're more likely to develop problems with asthma.
Right.
Are you going to look for food, Drano? But I think one of the most important things that we see today, a huge increase in the development of diabetes in cats, or sugar diabetes. Because the fatter, it's the same as in people, type 2 diabetes, the fatter they get, the more difficult it is for their insulin to process sugar, and so they develop high blood sugar and diabetes. This is a normal cat, so you can see how nice, you can sort of see a little waistline here, and here you can see an extremely obese cat. And here's his intestines, the same size as these, but the body goes all the way out to here. It's very hard on his joints.
Well, the problem with me, and this is probably with a lot of people who have cats, I have two, and my other cat is not overweight, so it's like she starves because he eats all the food, so it's hard to regulate their diet.
You know, you just made a very good point. So in multi-cat households, it's much harder to tell what's going on. This is what I tell people a lot of times when they're trying to figure out how to get their cat's weight under control. They need to take their cat to a vet. They need to make sure the cat's doing really well, just get a baseline and, and make a goal. Set a goal with your veterinarian. Because if they lose weight too quickly, they're definitely going to have a problem. Another important thing I often tell people is keep track of what you're doing at home. Keep a little journal. Who's feeding? How much are they feeding? When are they feeding? And because then you might find out that there's more than one person feeding at the same time.
Short of putting your cat on a treadmill, which would be the most ridiculous thing to try and do, how can we as owners get our cats slimmed down?
Toys are one great way. Please don't use string.
Okay.
Because sometimes they play with it, yarn, string, don't let them play with that. Get approved pet toys like at the store.
Okay. The cat dancer, that's a good one.
That's a great one, you know, those little feathers, and that's really fun. Diet control is really going to be the main thing. The number one reason cats are overweight, as we said, is because they eat too much.
We feed them too much.
So we're going to make a very good schedule of when they're going to eat and how much they're going to eat. And we're going to recommend some good diets that are really well formulated with the right amount of protein, the right amount of fat, and the right amount of carbohydrates. These are examples of diets that we sell or we dispense from a veterinary hospital. So these are prescription diets. But I really want to stress that it's important to know that there are some really great low-fat, low-calorie diets out there in the supermarket and the pet store that your vet can guide you towards.
The foods at the pet store, whether they're dry or wet foods that say light, how good are those and reliable versus just giving them less of a regular type of food?
You know, that's a really good question because you can get so overwhelmed. I mean, the supermarket shelves are just filled with 40 million different choices, almost literally. So one of the things I really think is important is to just kind of get a plan with your veterinarian. Find one that they're comfortable with. There are a lot of great diets out there from the supermarket or the pet store, But really get an idea from your vet what they're comfortable with. Take their recommendations, and that way they can help you guide how much to feed, how often to feed. The key is monitoring how much you're feeding them and how often. If you put half a can down once a day in the morning, leave it there for 30 minutes. If he doesn't finish it, doesn't matter, take it up.
Okay.
In the afternoon when you come home, give him the other half of the can.
Well, Dr. Levitan, thank you so much for your information. And of course, there's always tons more information you can find on PetStyle.com. But I gotta go check in with the big guy and see what he thinks about all this. He might not be very happy. Hi, big guy. How are you? We got a whole new diet plan for you. Yes, we do. And to recap to all of you guys who have overweight cats, you just got to remember to use a high-quality, meat-based diet, control the amount of food you feed them, also control when you feed them. I really like that 30-minute meal time. 30 minutes you have to chow down in the morning and 30 minutes at night, that's it. That way you can help your cat live a longer, healthier, and more enjoyable life. And of course, I want him around as long as possible. Isn't that right? Yes. Diet time. Diet time.